Slam, 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 and then they just kept coming.
Motorists lined the Bayway after a series of pileups involving 130 cars.
More than 85 people were taken to area hospitals with injuries. Hi everyone, I'm Nancy Pierce.
And I'm Bob Grip. I'll have a live report from the accident site.
Action News 10 is coming up next.
Know why I like memory call answering service better than answering machines? Because this is all you need. There's no equipment to buy, nothing to break. It works through the phone. South Central Bell takes care of the rest. And if you call now, they'll connect memory call service free. It's easy to check messages from any touch-tone phone in the house, or just about anywhere.
Jim, the breakfast meeting's been moved to lunch.
And another reason I like memory call service better than answering machines, it takes messages even when you're on the phone.
Yeah, see you after the game, bye. Message signal.
A signal lets you know you have messages, and you get the date and time of the call.
Set today at 5 p.m.
Hi, Bobby. You're pitching tonight.
You can count on memory call service to get your messages, even if the power goes out. And like I said, there are no repairs to worry about, no equipment to buy. Besides, there are a lot of things I'd rather see on my table than an answering machine. Memory call service is easier, better. And if you call South Central Bell now, they'll connect it free. So try it, now.
Order and we'll connect memory call service free. At South Central Bell, actions speak. So act now. Call 1-800-848-BELL. That's 1-800-848-2355.
Anything else for the yard sale?
Once you try memory call service, answering machines are a thing of the past.
Attention accident victims. Call Clay Massey and Gale if you've been hurt in any accident. Find out about all the cash and benefits you have coming. Call now, 432-9999.
You're watching WALA Channel 10, bringing you more news more often. Now, from the #1 news station on the Gulf Coast, this is Action News 10 live at 5 p.m.
We looked behind us and we saw that big rig, the green rig, coming right behind us. We're just so thankful my kids wasn't hurt. God.
An eyewitness tells what it was like to be caught in a nightmare. Pileups involving 130 cars on the Bayway. I'm Nancy Pierce in downtown Mobile.
And I'm Bob Grip reporting live from the causeway across Mobile Bay. Right behind me is where it all happened about 6:30 this morning. It's the interstate bridge that links Mobile and Baldwin counties, and within a few minutes it looked more like an automobile graveyard. 130 cars slammed into one another in a series of accidents that happened on both sides of the Bayway. It was terribly foggy at the time, which cut visibility drastically. It also cut reaction time as drivers couldn't avoid the cars and the trucks that were stopping suddenly ahead of them. The chain reaction stretched for 2 miles in the eastbound lanes and then 2 miles in the westbound lanes. Of course, it's a divided highway. The mess left 1 person dead, 6 others critically injured, and dozens of others bleeding and stunned. They just couldn't believe that their ride to work or school had ended like this. As you can imagine, it was also a mess for the rescue crews that were trying to help these people. The ambulances had to weave their way through the breakdown lanes to try to get to the injured. It was just a terrible scene here in the Bayway in Mobile County. And Amy Greer joins us now. She was one of the first reporters on the scene. How do you react to something like this? This looked like a wreck on the Autobahn in Germany or something.
Exactly.
It's so vast.
Everyone has had that same reaction, Bob. You know, how many times have we all traveled this Bayway and seen that thick fog? It can literally reduce visibility to nothing. How many times have we all said something like this was bound to happen?
And today it did.
That fog can be so dangerous. Even veteran law enforcement officers called it the worst disaster they had ever seen before. Even one saying, only by the grace of God did this accident not take more than 1 life. And into the fog this morning was definitely one of the factors that turned so deadly. The other factor, police say, hundreds of motorists trying so anxiously to get to work. By the time the fog finally cleared, the Interstate 10 Bayway was a disaster. Just a mile of twisted cars and trucks piled one upon the other in a rush hour traffic jam like no one had ever seen.
I have no idea how far back it is. I went all the way past exit 30.
Mobile police say the first fender bender happened on the eastbound stretch of Bayway about 6:35. A chaotic chain reaction would follow.
We stopped enough time, but the oncoming cars behind us, they didn't, see what was going on. And before you know it, we looked behind us and we saw that big rig, the green rig, right behind us. We're just so thankful my kids wasn't hurt. God.
As car after car slammed into another, some tried in vain to flag down others to warn them what lay ahead.
When we first hit, we got out of the truck and vacated the area, and then started running back down both sides of the road trying to flag traffic down, but there's so much fog people couldn't hardly see us.
Police say the wreckage continued, this time on the westbound lane, as motorists slowed down to watch what was happening. Before it was over, troopers say at least 130 cars would be involved in 5 separate accidents. One of the worst collisions, a mobile fire truck and an 18-wheeler, with yet another car sandwiched in between. One driver after another described the horror of having nowhere to go but the rear of the car in front of them, or even worse, over the side of the Bayway.
I thought I was going to have to jump off the bridge at one time when that big truck was coming through. I thought I was going to have to jump just to keep from getting hit because he was pushing 3 and 4 cars towards us. Yeah, it was scary. It scared, really scary.
WALA photographer Rick Portier was on the Bayway shooting the thick morning fog moments before anyone realized how deadly a factor the weather was about to become.
A lot of them were saying it just came out of nowhere. They couldn't see, they were just traveling, and just boom, one car after another out of nowhere running into each other. Just a lot of surprise. It was unbelievable, the silence up there. When you got into certain spots, you couldn't hear the sirens and the silence. People just standing there in disbelief. It was horrible.
Rick Portier, again, our photographer who was first here on the scene. Ironically, he had come to get some pictures of the early morning fog anyway. As a weather-related story, little did anyone know how it was about to affect what was to happen the next few minutes. Interestingly, he talked to some people, Bob, who were traveling along the Bayway, saying that even though the visibility was almost zero, a lot of motorists were still traveling 55 to 60 miles an hour.
You know, and they always do.
They do, absolutely, and police say that just absolutely was a deadly combination today. People have got to slow down.
Plus, this probably came as a surprise to many people because in Mobile and on the Eastern Shore, it was a normal day. It was only when you got across on the Bayway did everything turn foggy and all the trouble began.
It's typical. A lot of times, even in the middle of the afternoon, you'll have a beautiful day and then this strange patch of fog that settles over the Bayway. Again, people have got to slow down. And when you realize what an incredible amount of roadway it encompassed, we're now told 2 miles in either direction, west and eastbound. So 4 miles combined. That's an incredible disaster.
You know, maybe we'll get some warning signs or warning lights that'll warn people at least to try to slow down, especially when things are foggy.
We'll have to hope so, yeah.
All right, thanks, Amy. Nancy, let's go back to you. Have more specifics on those who are injured.
Yes, Bob. So many cars and so many people involved in these accidents. It is staggering. Here's our latest information. 130 cars were involved in this morning's disaster. 1 person died. 6 are in critical condition. A total of 87 people were taken to area hospitals. 11 people have been admitted to the hospitals. The person killed in the accident has been identified as Frances Curry Cobus, a 50-year-old woman from Bay Minette. She apparently was in a car in the westbound lane. Again, that is a total of 87 people taken to area hospitals. Carol Hunter was the first reporter at USA Medical Center this morning, where 22 patients were treated. She has the latest information on how the injured are doing. Carol?
Well, Nancy, amazingly, most of the victims received only minor injuries and by now have been treated and released. About a quarter of the injured were brought right here. And as you can imagine, it made for a very busy morning. The USA Medical Center emergency room hasn't seen anything like this since the Amtrak disaster in September of 1993. Before the morning was over, 22 people would be wheeled through these doors, some sharing an ambulance with 1 or 2 other patients. By 9 o'clock, trauma rooms and hallways were filled, and the hospital put its mass casualty plan into action, treating a wide variety of injuries.
Most of our patients are what we call walking wounded. They were hurt but needed knee x-rays, arm x-rays, abrasions, lacerations, glass injuries, and things like that.
Mary Lewis's sister has been in the emergency room for 3 hours now. The waiting is taking its toll on Mary, even though she says her sister's injuries don't seem severe.
She had injuries to her face, arms, hands. But other than that, I thank God that she's still here with us. I had prayed and God, you know, please don't take my sister, and I thank God that she's here. She's still here with us. If she have a few injuries, they are men. The main thing is God gave her back to us, and I thank God for that.
Everyone agrees.
You know, when we had the train disaster, people either died or they had very minor injuries. With acceleration, deceleration injuries, and a lot of blunt trauma that we would have expected from high-speed cars in fog, I expected things to be a lot worse, and I was really glad when things didn't turn out as bad as we'd expected.
I talked with several of the paramedics who transported patients here throughout the morning, and they too expected things to be much worse than they were. They tell us every time they came across a mangled car, they expected to see a fatality, and they were amazed and surprised when every time except one, they didn't. Nancy?
Carol, you talked about a mass casualty plan. What does that involve?
Well, Nancy, it's called into action anytime the hospital expects more than 15 casualties, and it's a hospital-wide plan. Every hospital employee reports to his supervisor. All the available physicians and medical students report to the emergency room. A special triage area is set up to classify the injuries, and of course everyone stands by ready to treat and help any of the patients who come in.
All right, thank you. Carol Hunter reporting live from USA Medical Center. We have a breakdown on the hospitals involved. 3 people were admitted to USA Medical Center, 19 were treated and released. 14 victims were taken to Providence Hospital. Of those, 1 is in surgery, 1 has been admitted, and 12 have been released. 12 people were taken to Spring Hill Memorial Hospital. All were treated and released. 11 victims went to Thomas Hospital in Fairhope. They are in the emergency room. 8 have been treated and released. 2 people are still being examined at USA Knollwood Hospital. 8 others were treated and released. And 4 people were taken to Mobile Infirmary. 2 of them were admitted, the other 2 treated and released. State Trooper's office has confirmed 14 others were taken to the hospital, but hospital officials have not released their conditions. Now, if you are still trying to find family members or friends involved in this morning's pileup, there is a number you can call for information. Those involved in the accident who did not have serious injuries were taken to the Mobile Convention Center for first aid. That number there is area code 334-460-8000. Someone from the Emergency Management Agency should be manning the phones to help those of you still looking for people who may have been involved in the accident. That number again is 334-460-8000. Bob?
Okay, now the accidents, of course, were cleared and everybody was treated, and they had to clear out the mess here, and it was an awful mess. Take a look at what wreckers had to do and flatbed trucks and everything else. It was just an enormous job, as you can imagine, with more than 100 cars piled up, trucks turned on their sides, some leaning over the side of the Bayway, almost falling into the bay. All of these had to be cleaned up because, of course, they wanted to get traffic moving as well. Cars that couldn't be taken out of the area were lined up on the causeway where they could be kept until they could be moved later. Well, in case you're just joining us now, just to recap, there was a terrible accident on the I-10 Bayway early this morning. Here you see some pictures of it that we had. A scene of a horrible chain reaction accident involved 130 cars and trucks. 1 person died in this, 87 were injured. All happened about 6:30 this morning as thousands of you were heading to work or to school. 2 miles of the eastbound lanes of the Bayway were closed. 2 miles of the westbound lanes also were closed because of accidents like this. There was thick fog in the area. That's a contributing factor, and you can be sure there are going to be calls for things like warning signs, perhaps blinking lights, warning drivers about the thick fog in the area, and also perhaps a warning to folks to please slow down. The speed limit on part of the Bayway is 65 miles an hour, and very often people go much faster than that. We don't know how fast they were going this morning, but the fog definitely was a contributing factor to this. We'll be back with more on this a little bit later. Nancy?
All right, thanks, Bob. There is another tragedy in our part of the country to report, an Olympic accident in Atlanta when we come back. Also ahead, the lead detective back on the stand at the Simpson trial. And in Health-Wise, a bone marrow transplant is helping some women beat breast cancer.
Tall Tale is coming from Disney, and the Tall Tale Kids Pack is blowing into Subway. It's a fresh sandwich, drink, and cookie, plus an action figure in every pack. Saddle up for Disney's Tall Tale only in theaters, and rope a Kids Pack only at Subway.
If you don't want your fish swimming in these waters, try the world's greatest tuna sandwich at Subway. Chunk-like tuna, fresh baked bread, and all your favorite fixings. And now the 6-inch tuna sub's just $1.99. So it's their way, or Subway, the place where fresh is the taste.
It's happening. Only the people who invented America's best-selling minivans could have a sale like this. The Chrysler Plymouth National minivan sale is here. Get $1,000 cash back on Plymouth Voyager, Roomy or Grand Voyager, and Chrysler Town & Country. Chrysler minivan owners get an extra $500 back. Add that to option package values and get up to $2,600 off. But it won't last long. The Chrysler Plymouth National Minivan Sale. Only at the minivan store at your Chrysler Plymouth dealer.
Phone service for members of the Action News 10 cellular phone network is provided by Contel Cellular.
Oh, I have very strict rules. One of them is that my turkey should always be smothered with gravy.
My rule, 2 scoops of Rocky Road are better than 1.
Defend your right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of burritos.
My rule is the creamier the sauce, the better.
With Healthy Choice, there's only one rule. Eat what you like.
And remember, meatloaf is your friend.
That's a good one.
It's March Magic at your Mercury dealer, and we're making cars disappear with great deals, like the all-new Mercury Mystique, one of Car and Driver's 10 best cars. And even with all this, Mystique's still over $1,500 less than a Nissan Altima or Honda Accord. But you better hurry. At this price, Mercury Mystiques are disappearing fast. See your Mercury dealer by April 3rd and say...
Tragedy at the Olympic Stadium in Atlanta leaves 1 dead, and the Atlantic Committee for the Olympic Games launching an investigation tonight. Metal beams holding up part of a 150-foot tall light tower collapsed, killing 1 worker and injuring 2 others. This was the first major accident at the Olympic construction site. The stadium will be the site of the 1996 Summer Games opening and closing ceremonies, as well as track and field events. Day 2 for Los Angeles detective Philip Van Adder on the witness stand in the O.J. Simpson double murder trial. Today, Simpson walked up to the jury box and showed jurors the hand that police alleged was wounded while he committed the 2 murders. The defense says his knuckle is always swollen. The presentation came as the defense went on the attack against Van Adder, attempting to portray him as an over-the-hill detective out of step with modern police techniques. Bone marrow transplants are not uncommon in the U.S. 5,000 are performed every year. Healthy bone marrow is protected from chemotherapy and re-injected after treatment. In tonight's HealthWise report, now the procedure has expanded to help women with breast cancer. Karen Halverson was diagnosed with breast cancer in 1992. She had a radical mastectomy. Then the cancer spread to her lymph nodes, and she had a bone marrow transplant. But that didn't quiet Karen's spirit.
The bone marrow transplant, yes, is a devastating procedure in most respects, but it's not the worst thing in the world.
Dr. Neil Flomenberg says the bone marrow transplant, or BMT procedure, is not for every breast cancer patient.
Typically, it is reserved for women who clearly need it on the basis of either having had their cancer come back or who are at very high risk to do so.
By removing the patient's healthy bone marrow before treatment, doctors can give the patient a stronger dose of chemotherapy. The bone marrow is removed, frozen, and stored. After the patient receives chemo, the bone marrow is then injected back into the patient's veins. But does it work?
The people who are most active in the field have suggested that the risk of relapse is probably reduced by about half.
And with such an intense therapy, Dr. Flomenberg says a positive mental attitude is a must, and Karen is living proof of that.
You betcha, honey. Yes. Actually, I'm looking very much forward to going back to work.
At Dr. Flomenberg's clinic in Milwaukee, more than 19 bone marrow transplants have been performed for breast cancer patients. And if you'd like more information, send a self-addressed stamped envelope to HealthWise, Action News 10, Post Office Box 1548, Mobile, Alabama 36633. Well, spring officially arrives tonight, but it surely feels and looks like spring right now.
You got that right.
We don't need to wait till tonight, do we?
I don't even have to be here, do I?
That's right.
Okay, we've got the weather for you coming up. Spring is nearly here.
What's happening every week all spring at Kmart? The Kmart Spring Break. Everywhere you look, as long as you look in Kmart, you'll find breaks on everything you need.
Here's a big spring break on wicker furniture. 4-piece set, just $1.99. What a break.
For hundreds of great price breaks all spring, check out the Kmart Circular every week.
Sometimes it's the small choices that really matter most. At First Alabama, we know that choosing the right bank might not seem that important now, but it can matter a lot when it comes to providing a solid plan for your future. As one of the nation's strongest financial companies, we have the long-term investment options you'll need to keep your options open down the road, no matter how far you're going. First Alabama Bank. Let us lend you our strength.
Quincy's has some hot tips for a windy March. Like a penny saved is a penny earned. Put something away for a rainy day. And don't pay more than $2.99 for sirloin tips, because only Quincy's has them at $2.99. Tips come with choice of potato, peppers and onions, or mushroom gravy, yeast rolls, and dessert bar. Only $2.99. So remember, always clean your plate. And don't forget, Quincy's has the hottest priced breakfast bar in town. Only $3.99 at Quincy's Family Steakhouse.
Buying a new car doesn't have to be a difficult choice. Oldsmobile has simplified the buying process with feature-packed cars at a price everyone can afford. You have the power. Compare Sierra by Oldsmobile with 30 standard features. At $15,400, it's still thousands less than Taurus, Intrepid, or Accord. You have the power to choose. Cutlass Sierra at your Southern Olds family retailer.
It sure felt like spring out there today, but it doesn't officially get here until 8:14 tonight. So it won't be officially a full day of spring until tomorrow. This is what we had for highs today. 79 degrees in Mobile, 74 both in Fort Walton and in Pascagoula, 76 in Pensacola. The lows this morning generally in the 50s from 55 degrees in Mobile and Pensacola, 53 the low this morning in Fort Walton Beach, and only down to 62 in Pascagoula. Now outside right now, Pascagoula is coming in at 72, Mobile has 74, it's 74 in Pensacola, 73 in Fort Walton Beach. Bruton with 76, 79 up in Montgomery right now. Jackson has 78 degrees. It's 78 degrees in Hattiesburg, Mississippi. It went all the way to 80 degrees up in Huntsville today, and that ties their old record, which was set back in 1979. This is the way the nation looks right now, and high pressure, which gives us the beautiful sunshiny weather in the daytime, helped to produce that fog we had this morning. It has been sitting right here along the Gulf Coast. It's been pumping in the moisture from the south, and the southwesterly breeze gave us all of that humidity in the air, and thus we did have the fog this morning. There is a chance of some of that fog still being around tonight, but this weather maker right here, a cold front that's moving into northern Mississippi right now, will sweep on past the area tonight, and as that happens, the wind will shift around and be from the northwest tomorrow. So any fog that may build up should be blown on out of here very quickly tomorrow morning. Right now, some pretty heavy thunderstorms from north of Nashville on into Kentucky around the Bowling Green area, and then we have clearing skies behind that. For the rest of the country, well, they've got a storm out west, as you see, moving on shore, and in northern California, also one just off the coast there in Washington State. But this is nowhere as intense as the storms they've had over the past several days. What's going to happen tomorrow? This is what's going to happen. That cold front we talked about is going to swing on over to the Carolina coastline. High pressure will build behind it. It's going to be another fantastic day here along the Gulf Coast, but watch out for that slight chance of nighttime fog. Partly cloudy is our overnight forecast. The overnight low should be in the mid-50s with southwest winds around 10 miles per hour. Tomorrow, it's going to be sunny to partly cloudy, and it's going to feel just like spring. We're looking for highs in the upper 70s with northwest winds at 10 miles per hour. Looking at our extended forecast for Wednesday and Thursday, highs around 80 degrees, partly cloudy weather on Friday, a chance of showers by Saturday. Again, spring gets here at 8:14 tonight. That's the official time.
Well, I think it's already here.
I think it is.
We have a correction on a phone number. If you want to find out some information about people that were you believe to be in the accident, the number is 334-610-3229. Somebody will be able to help you with that phone number. Well, it is time for sports. It was a wild weekend of basketball. Some surprises.
Nancy's team won.
Yep.
Yeah, she's still alive there. Yeah, but I tell you, some big teams almost weren't. We've got some highlights. Yeah, coming up after the break. How about our trivia question? What's the record for points scored in a single game in a Division I basketball contest by one player? Answers coming up.
Funny thing about March Madness. As more teams drop out, more friends drop in. Fewer teams, more friends. Good thing Pizza Hut has the March Madness meal deal. Buy any large regular price pizza and we'll throw in a dozen free buffalo wings plus a free NCAA tournament guidebook. Because by the time only 2 teams are left, you're gonna have a lot of friends. The March Madness meal deal.
The great deals are really moving fast at your local Southern Ford dealer's incredible spring clearance sale.
5 of America's 10 best sellers are all on sale, and that includes Ford F-150. Right now, you can lease a new F-150 for just $199 a month. But hurry, at just $199 a month, these F-150s are gonna fly out of here.
Wow, these deals are moving, so you'd better get moving too. Hurry to your local Southern Ford dealer spring clearance sale now.
You're watching Action News 10, the news team that brings you more news more often.
The spring clearance sale at Treadwell Ford makes spring more exciting in a new Thunderbird LX. Save over $3,200. Choose from 12 new Thunderbirds. You pay a low $219 a month with a 24-month lease. Or maybe you want the performance of the 95 Probe, priced at only $13,688. Or you can lease for only 24 monthly payments of $235. Get a great lease on sports car performance during the spring clearance sale at Treadwell Ford, your local Southern Ford dealer.
Alabama assistant basketball coach Greg Polinsky has been named head coach at Georgia Southern. Polinsky spent 9 seasons on the bench in Tuscaloosa and takes over for the interim coach Doug Durham, who took over in November after the resignation of Frank Kearns. Meanwhile, Mississippi State head coach Richard Williams is the new kid on the block in the Sweet 16. Williams is the only coach left in the NCAA tournament that hasn't been this far before. With impressive wins over Santa Clara Friday and Utah yesterday, the Bulldogs were in the Sweet 16 for the first time in school history. Now it really gets tough as Mississippi State will take on top-ranked UCLA Thursday in Oakland. UCLA is just fortunate to be around. It took some last-second heroics to get past Missouri in yesterday's second-round action in the Western Regional. UCLA trailing 74-73 with under 5 seconds to go. Give it to Tyus Edney behind the back, throws it up in off the glass at the buzzer. And boy, the Bruins are happy. They advance into the regional semifinals where they will take on Mississippi State. Not the only buzzer beater. How about Purdue and Memphis tied at 73? Chris Garner with a putback, and he's the hero. Memphis will take on their rival Arkansas next, and Georgetown Weber State all even at 51. The freshman Allen Iverson short with the 3, but look at Don Reed over his head, and the Hoyas are into the Sweet 16. They get North Carolina next. Georgetown, Memphis, and UCLA all big wins at the buzzer, keeping their national title hopes alive. But maybe the best game winner of the weekend came in the 5A girls state title game in California. Ripon Christian leading El Cajon 47-46. El Cajon, Stephanie Shadwell from half court. It's a 3-pointer, and El Cajon wins the title 49-47. Another look at it from half court, and that's your winner. The trivia question deals with hoops, and what is the record for points scored by a single player in a Division I basketball game? Frank Selvey scored 100 points 41 years ago, and 10 days before that, Bevo Francis in a Division II game scored 113. So mid-50s, they were throwing them in the bucket.
What about the rest of the team?
Well, they didn't need to score too many. That's right.
All right. Thanks, Lance.
You bet.
Well, our top story throughout the day, that massive pileup on the I-10 Bayway. When we come back, we'll go to Bob Grip for a live update.
Listen, at Godfather's Pizza, Hey, kid, you toting my new jumbo half and half?
Yep.
One half's my famous 6-topping combo, the other half's my prestigious pepperoni. What's your favorite, pal?
Pepperoni.
And this half is mine?
No.
Godfather's Pizza's Jumbo Half and Half is half combo, half pepperoni with over a pound of cheese. And it serves up more than 2 of the other guys' medium pizzas. Includes both breadsticks and dessert pizza, all for just $14.99.
Do it.
Once inside the new accent, you'll admire the intelligent sense of design. You'll appreciate the advanced dual airbag system. You'll applaud the roomy interior, and you'll adore the affordable price. The all-new accent from Hyundai. Finally, high technology you can really get into. Now, introductory priced at $8,484. Only at your Hyundai dealer.
Got a hot news tip? Call the Action News 10 tip line at 1-800-876-TV10. Or on your Bell South or Contel cellular phone, just dial star 10. Both calls are free and both make you a part of the Action News 10 team.
Gone to the grocery store lately? Think maybe you're going to have to take out a loan just to feed the family this week? Well, think about this. The lawsuit epidemic is adding a hidden tax to every grocery bill, every medical bill, every utility bill you pay. 2.3 million lawsuits in 1 year alone. And you think the costs aren't passed on to you? Call 1-800-848-8432 and get a free action kit. Help stop lawsuit abuse.
Chevy's truck is by far the #1 truck on the road today.
That's right. Chevy trucks are #1 in southern Alabama and northern Florida, selling more trucks than any other brand or model in this area.
The new full-size truck appeals to people mostly in styling, performance, and quality.
And right now, save $2,000 on Chevy's full-size truck.
The best Chevrolet has is a full-size CK pickup truck.
Chevy's #1 selling full-size truck, featuring $2,000 in savings and rebates, only at your Gulf Coast Chevy dealers.
Chevy buyers are smart buyers.
Our top story from today, this morning's massive pileup on the Bayway, and Bob Griff was on the causeway with the recap. Bob?
All right, thanks a lot, Nancy. As you can see right now, traffic is flowing smoothly along the Bayway, both the east and the westbound lanes, but it sure wasn't that way this morning about 6:30 when fog covered the entire Bayway and more than 130 cars were involved in this massive pileup. You can really see it very well from the air. It was just an awful mess. Traffic was backed up for 2 miles in the eastbound lanes and the westbound lanes. 1 person died in all of this. 87 were injured. It was just a horrible mess. Police had their hands full. Cars just slammed into one another. They couldn't see. They tried to stop, but it was just boom, 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 one after another. It was an awful chain reaction wreck, and clearing the mess took all afternoon, and both the east and westbound lanes managed to open up this afternoon, and now traffic is moving smoothly. Nancy?
All right, that's us for here on That's it for us here on Action News 10 to 5 p.m. Coming up next, the NBC Nightly News.
And Dia Foster and I will be back for Action News 10 at 6 p.m. I'll see you then.